All right, I've only got a short period with you. Do any of you teachers work in the education sector? Put your hands up. Okay, some of you may know the Yale Communication Studies back in the 50s. Big research program focused on how to create great learning experiences. They looked at lecturing, and one of the things they found about lecturing was for the first minute or so, you're just looking at me, deciding whether you like me or not. You're not listening to what I'm saying, okay? So you think, oh, he looks a bit dodgy or whatever. Then for about the next 15 or 20 minutes, you can actually concentrate and you'll do some learning. And then about 25, 30 minutes, if a smart audience like you, your mind starts to wander and you start to have sexual fantasies, okay? So when I kind of see that look coming over your face, I know my time is up, so you shouldn't need to flash me, okay? Okay, this is just a little, in behavioural change, we like to get inside people's heads and understand them a bit. So I just want to do a bit of audience psychographic work with you now. Look at the shapes and colours on the screen. Decide which one best represents the way you operate at work. And then I'm going to get you to disclose that by putting your hand up, okay? We've had enough time now. So who thinks they're a red square? Put your hand up. Okay, first thing about red squares, only two of you, is that you're brave. You'll put your hand up before you know what's coming. Okay? All of these things are good. That means you just like a plan. You like a nice, solid plan about how to achieve a behavioural change program. What about mauve triangles? Oh, a few more. Okay, you like to kind of have a really good target to aim for. You know, about how we get there doesn't matter. Let's hit the target. What about squiggly green lines? Ah, okay. You're the creative types. Nothing like you like more than a nice creative challenge. Create a new intervention. And lastly, lovely golden circles. Okay, you don't care about any of that stuff. You're just here for a nice day out. Okay, away from the office. You're the hedonists. Okay, so I've now got you. Okay, I know who I'm speaking to. This, my God, is what we're going to try and cover in the next 25 minutes. We're going to look at why people are pushing back, what that means for us. How do we create social value? That's the only way to get some change, permanent, sustained change in the world and tackling some of these big social problems. And then some kind of tips about how we do it. And the rest of the conference is obviously going to expand on a lot of this stuff. This is the worst slide. Don't worry too much about it. There's too many words on it. I know that. It's not for you to read, really. It's just maybe I think you're going to get all these PowerPoint presentations afterwards. So there's some stuff in here you can kind of digest a bit more. We have to start engaging with people in a more pragmatic way. Grand narratives, let's save the world, let's change everything, are very nice, but they ain't going to deliver. They can raise your awareness. I think we need more practical, citizen-focused, incremental change. We have to engage more with people in co-creation. Just doing stuff to people is not a tenable strategy anymore. And the responsibility for this new form of relationship and co-creation needs to be spread not just in the public sector, the NGO sector, but also with the private sector and communities themselves. So I'm going to expand on this. Of course, we face a whole host of complex, interrelated drag factors on social development, health development, and economic development. These things are interwoven. There is no easy fix for this stuff. If there is, we would have found it. But I believe, because of a lot of dedicated work, we may not have the golden bullet, but we have a golden process that we know works. And if we apply it, good chances are we can tackle some of these issues. Okay. We have a global, we probably have a physical tsunami coming towards us because of environmental emergency, but we certainly have a social tsunami sweeping across the world, not just in high-income countries like this, but low and middle-income countries as well. People are socially divided. Lebanon today, riots on the streets, blood on the streets. Every day it's happening around the world. I know you've experienced some of this here. People are pushing back, and rightly so. This is not a problem. This is a triumph. You educate people, you connect them, you empower them. They have more money than they just to kind of survive. They want more control. we have to respond to that. Some stats. Politicians don't care about people like me. This is American stats, I think, a set of global stats here. You can see global average, 63%. That's a message we have to hear. So the age of deference, just using our, I'm an expert, I know what the problem is, I know how to fix it, do this, is not, again, a tenable strategy. People don't trust us anymore. These stats are from the UK. I think they probably would be reflected here in Australia as well. You know, luckily, doctors, teachers, and professors like me, only 20% of what I say is bullshit, okay? But down here, look, you're a politician, a civil servant, a business leader, you've got no chance. And again, rightly so, because some of these people have done some despicable, terrible things. And we're wise to that now. Okay, this is some more just stats for you. Do you trust government most of the time? Look at the way it's fallen. The government is being run for the benefits of people like me. No, these are American stats. Okay. And Australia, I thought I'd flag this one up. These governments are trusted most by their people. Not doing so well, folks. Okay, so we have to engage more, this idea of agency and voice, reaching out to people and connecting with them. This is a program that's being run about the Grenfell Tower that burnt down in London. And part of the healing process is engaging with people about what to do in terms of recovery and renewal in that area. We've seen examples, as I've said before, all over the world, and Hong Kong being one of the kind of biggest ones currently at the moment. People are also enabled and connected now through social media. And this is going to be, this is not going to save the world, but it's going to help us connect people and work with them to create some of the solutions that we need going forward. Okay, and again, I know that you're very aware of these kinds of movements that are pushing back. Although one thing I would say is, I'd like to see more people and young people on the streets protesting a lot more, given the kind of challenges that we face and the ineptitude of lots of the interventions to try and do something about them. I would want more rioting. I think that would probably help. Okay. If you look at lots of the stats around the world, a number of key messages come through. This is what people are saying to us, people in positions of power and influence. First of all, I don't believe you. I don't trust you. Listen to me. I'm in control now. Your job is not to fix the problem. Your job is to work with me to fix the problem. Put up your hand if you were born between 1950 and 1970. Okay, you have a slightly aging workforce. You're, Generation LX. You've got more capital. You own a house. You spend more on disposable kind of fashion products and entertainment products than younger people. And basically, you want it how you want it. And you expect that because that's what you get when you work with largely the private sector. Put up your hands if you were born after 1970. Okay, fantastic, young country. You're even worse, or even better, okay? You're more demanding, and you're more connected. You're not going to put up with bad service anymore, whether it comes from the government, NGO sector, or wherever. Okay. So, expert design, of course, this is not about giving up our expertise and bringing that to the table. We know a lot about how to do stuff and what not to do, but it's also about listening to people, okay? They have great ways of solving problems as well. Put enough effort into listening to them, probably you're going to find a better solution. Okay. One of the other problems, of course, is there's a lot of people who are not writing, not pushing back, they're just sitting at home and not engaging. This is, again, a big challenge to us. This is Michael Sandel, a political philosopher from Yale. And what he talks about in terms of solution is we need a new politics of the common good. More scrupulous politicians, of course, who are reaching out and trying to connect, but also more engaged citizens. Citizens, if they want more, we want more input and power, we have to put that in, pragmatically. Anybody know who this is? Any economists in the room? This is Friedrich Hayek. I never thought I'd quote him. But what he talks about, and his Nobel Prize indicates, is that policy works when it's engaged with citizens. When you impose stuff on people, it doesn't tend to work so well. Okay. So where we are is moving away from a model like this, I know best, do what I say, to a model that's more about collaboration and working together. And that means putting effort and time and research into making that work. Okay. Anybody know what this is? This is the Fountain of Youth. Okay, this is an old 16th century painting. What's happening is old people are being brought in over here on carts and carried in. They bathe in the Fountain of Youth, and they come out the other end and go into the tent and do unspeakable things together. Okay, this is what people want. They want it to be easy, straightforward, don't have to do much effort. This is value. Okay. We know that there are sets of Schwartz's work, you'll be aware of this, I'm sure some of you. There are lots of well-recognized and measured values that people, the values that they bring to making decisions about issues and engaging in certain behaviors. We can understand that value and create value through social programs if we understand, if we connect with people, if we co-create. There are lots, of course, dimensions of value out there. From functional through to psychological, and even at the apex of this triangle, social values. We're not selfish individuals, most of us. We want to engage and give something back, as well as create benefit for ourselves. So I'm not talking about just personal value. The screen down here seems to have died, tech guys. So I'm going to have to keep looking back. This is von Miles. He's the guy who came up with this idea of tangible and intangible value. Most of our social programs now need to have both of these elements. Okay, and more recently, Robert Lush, of course, talks about the need for this as well. One of the other big things, I think, an implication of the need to reach out and connect and co-create comes from the Nordic school of marketing, and people like Eric Gudmundsson, who talk about and demonstrate through statistical analysis more value, more effectiveness, more efficiency through longer-term relationships, both in the business and the public sphere. So not one-off transactional interactions with people, but looking towards more ongoing relationship-type initiatives. Okay? So moving from transactional to relational. We're not going to read this. You can read this later at your leisure. Okay, so we need to co-create value. We need to co-design value, co-deliver it, and co-evaluate our strategies going forward. Just some examples. This is an example from my own country. We're pretty good at drinking a lot of alcohol, almost as good as yourselves. And we have an issue particularly with young women going out, drinking too much, falling over, ending up in A&E, having to be looked after by the police. The ambulance crews cost a lot of money, very socially disruptive. So let's work with these women. Let's talk to them about what we might be able to do to solve this problem. First potential solution, can we encourage them to drink less? Answer, no. They like drinking and they're not going to stop drinking. Okay, why else do they fall over and end up in A&E? One of the reasons is they wear inherently unstable footwear. Okay, high heels. Can we get them to go out wearing flat shoes? Answer, no. Okay, like high shoes, want to look good. Some of our policemen, through talking with members of this section of the community, noticed that some of them wear little flat shoes. They carry little flat fold-up shoes in their handbag when they come out when they're a bit drunk. They come out, they take their high heels off because their feet are killing them. They put the shoes on. Value, my feet are now, and they also don't fall over. Okay, so now the police give them flip-flops. Okay, stops them falling over, saves a lot of money, creates a new relationship between the police and the people as well. They also give them lollipops. Do you know why? To shut them up, basically. Stops violence, creates a better relationship. The police are now my friend. They're helping them, giving me nice stuff. Okay? Violence goes down, costs go down, noise pollution goes down. This is the way forward. Okay, another great example from Bella Mossa from Italy, if you're in the transport business. What these people do is an app on your phone. If you walk, cycle, take the bus into Bologna, very crowded city with cars, you win points on your phone, and your points can be substituted for beer, ice cream, or cinema tickets. Okay? Or you can pool them with your local community and get money to give to local charities. Okay? Value, collective action. Okay. We've got lots of ways of helping people if we work with them in a co-production kind of way, all these kind of traditional ways to influence people's behaviour. We've also, because of a lot of work in the behavioural sciences recently, the last 10, 15 years, we have a whole range of psychological and science-informed ways of understanding people and putting in place effective interventions. So together, we've got a very big toolbox of things that we can do based on good evidence and data about what tends to work. The trick now is to actually start delivering this in a more consistent way and through co-creation. So, all of these interventions need to be based on creating value for people. So I'm now going to just give you a few examples about how to destroy a bit of value, and we still see this going on quite a bit. So I'm surprised they don't have a don't walk in this forest sign up as well. They seem to have banned everything else. The way that we work, I don't know what I'm sure you've got a fantastic health service here. The National Health Service is a national religion in the UK. We don't like anybody criticising it. And the technical care that you get in the NHS is as good as anywhere else in the world. But what wraps around it is not so good. Okay? The personal interaction. Most complaints about health sectors, not just in the UK, but many countries, are not about the technical expertise of the service you get, but it's about the interchange, the communication, the talking, the briefing about what's happening, a chance to think things through with professionals and colleagues. That's what's often missing. Okay? This is another example of value distraction. This is a bus stop in the Netherlands. You sit on the bus stop and it displays your weight. Right? So, information can be very powerful and can create value, but it can also be destroyed. Not many people sit on the bus stop. Okay? You can have laws to create value. Social value, we don't want people dying because of crashes. And this is Turkey. There's a law in Turkey that says you will wear your seatbelt. Nobody wears their seatbelt because they don't believe it. Germans like to punish people. This is in where is it? A German city, I've forgotten. Yeah. What they do is they have a problem with men urinating in the street after they've been out drinking. There's no public loos. Build some public loos might be the answer. So they go down alleyways, they pee. That's very unpleasant, needs to be cleaned up. So they paint the wall with water-repellent paint. So you pee and it comes back onto your shoes. Okay. So, yeah. This is another example, play pumps. Some of you may know this. This is an example of using a rotary technology to create water. The trouble is it takes more energy to do that than a traditional pump. Thing breaks down, doesn't supply much water. Okay. There's some examples of value creation. It's an alternative way of doing it. Create a little microfinance scheme where you pay a few micro pennies via your phone or via a voucher. The water that money goes to a local engineer who's been trained about how to fix the pump. It works. People get 24/7 water for a price that they can actually afford. Create loos, encouraging to pee properly and not wee on the floor by giving them little games to play like this as they urinate through touch-sensitive screens. Give people money for recycling their bottles. Fine them appropriately. In Paris, you ever tried parking in Paris? People just park their car where they like because they know the fine is very low and nobody's going to actually enforce the parking fines. Change the parking fines and enforce them rigorously, illegal parking goes down. Use entrepreneurship. This is the biggest social marketing company in the world in Bangladesh, employs 2,000 people, fantastic population level success by engaging with people and co-creating with them. Giving people rewards for recycling. creating new technology that makes it easy for people to speak to GPs almost instantly. One just slight caveat about new tech, which I'm a big fan of. Some people think it's the answer to everything. Unfortunately, there are one or two side issues that we need to get sorted out and work through in terms of legislation. And just as an example, a value creation, in a sense, this is all trying to do your 10,000 steps, I'm sure. So this is a little $2 cradle you can buy in China that rocks your phone backwards and forwards and makes sure you get your 10,000 every day so you can post it. Okay. People are smart. We're smart. We'll find ways around it. Okay, so what should we do? I think I've got 5 minutes left or something like that. Hopefully, yeah. 6 minutes. Okay, great. So the first thing is, it's not all doom and gloom. There's a narrative out there about it's too complicated. We can't fix it. It's terrible. Everything's going down in the handcart. That is factually not true. Okay, buy this book. Read this book. It will cheer you up because it shows you the facts. This is the best time to be alive ever. Okay, par none. If you've got kids or grandkids, they're going to be really lucky people. Things are generally getting better. There are, of course, terrible problems, and the environment is one is an exception to this, really. But we need to be more positive. Okay, great. Another great book review, and what this comes up with in terms of ways to intervene is all the stuff that we know about, including clear aims and objectives, co-creation, sustained intersectoral action, and so on. Okay. This is the current narrative. It's a disaster/emergency. It's too complex. People can't be trusted. We don't know how to do it. Everything must change. Okay? This is not a helpful narrative. Okay? It's not enough just to attack a narrative or try and knock it down. You have to create a new narrative that plays to people's values if you want them to engage and help be part of a pragmatic change process. Okay? You've got to create some value for them. So maybe this is beginning of a different narrative. It's complex, but it's not impossible. People are fabulous. They're a fabulous resource. We know how to do it, which we do, largely, and together, we can fix it. Part of that fix is having systematic planning processes. Of course, I'm in favour of kind of using social marketing to do that, but there are other systematic planning processes that we could and should use. We know the kind of basic best principle design processes that should be featured in all kinds of interventions, and they are these. Okay? The more of these you've got in your program, bigger the chances that the program will be effective. The fewer you have, less chance it's going to work. I think there should be, if you're a government taking government money to do anything, the government should say you need to be able to tick all of these boxes before you get any money. That's what we do in the UK. Okay? It's not about individual change solely. It's about a more systemic change as well. So working across sectors and across disciplines to create social transformation, not just individual change. So, to sum up, we know how to do this stuff. More august people than me or you. This is a fantastic document, developing and evaluating complex interventions for the MRC. Fantastic downloadable resource about how to do it, what we know works, what we know does not work. Again, all these kinds of features. In the policy arena, we've got great guidance about what constitutes great policy, how to do it, what not to do. So this is the kind of situation I think we're trying to get to, moving from an expert-defined model to one that's about co-creation of solutions, working with people and creating value for them. This is our job, is to encourage people and really kind of rev them up to demand that they are engaged in the selection, development, delivery, and evaluation of social programs. This is the new civic relationship. It's about moving away from this tell, sell, and control kind of mindset. I'm probably walking out of shot, aren't I, going that fast? Sorry about that. To this social value creation mindset. Again, you can read these slides at your leisure afterwards. This is the direction of travel. This is not optional, by the way. This is happening and is going to happen. So it's getting on board with it. How do we engage with it? We're not in control of this. So lastly, not only is the evidence stacked up that this is what we need to do, we must do, it's also a more fulfilling and democratic, personally fulfilling way to work as well. Having respect for and working with rather than doing to. Anybody watch Paw Patrol? You got any little kids? I've got some grandkids. And one of the slogans is, no job too big, no pup too small. This is about pragmatic, step-by-step improvement. We know how to do that, folks. Anybody watch Octonauts? Okay. What you'll know that Barnacle says is, okay, Octonauts, let's do this. Let's do this. Thanks a lot.